I alone am left. It is enough, Lord. Take my life. I am a prostitute. I'm a murderer. I'm an adulterer. Create in me a clean heart. Every message you just heard was real. A prophet, a liar, a murderer turned leader, a doubter, a prostitute, a man who denied Jesus right to his face. And every single one of those voices is also yours. It is mine. It is ours. We've spent this entire series, pulling back the curtain on other people's messes. Moses, David, Rahab, Paul, Peter, Jonah, and Elijah. But tonight, there is no character to hide behind. No ancient name to make it feel safely far away. Tonight, this episode is just you. The episode is me. The episode is us. Welcome back to Fly with Spyce, where we talk about faith, life, and you, and where we do life experiences and whatever life throws us the God way. And welcome to the finale of the series, Flawed but Chosen. Woo! Drum rolls! I am Abibat, and if you've been with us through this whole series, you already know how this room works. There's no judgment here, no holy marks required at the door. Just the truth told with a lot of love until something actually changes. I'm so glad that we've made it this far, and we thank God for His grace. And God bless you for sitting with me through episode 1 up until this finale. You are my very own VIP. So we've unpacked 7 people's lives who all had one thing in common: a past, a flaw, a moment they were sure disqualified them. And every single time, God's response was the same: not disqualified, but chosen. Today we stop looking at them. Today we look in the mirror that is right in front of us. Before we go there, I need you fully present for this one. Do that thing, but really mean it this time. Like this video if you're ready to actually let this in instead of just watching it. Comment one honest word on where your heart is right now. We'll come back to that later. And please share this with someone you love enough to be honest with. And subscribe, because this isn't the end of what God wants to say to us through this channel. It's the start of a new page. If any part of you is unsure whether God could really want you after everything you've done, go back and watch Moses, watch David, watch Rahab, Peter, Saul, Jonah, and Elijah. A murderer, a woman with a reputation, a persecutor, an adulterer, a denier, a runaway, and a burned out prophet who wanted to die. Every one of them is in this story on purpose. So is this episode. So are you. All right. There's no popcorn tonight. Just you, me, and God. Let's go. Let's connect the dots for a second, because I don't think it was an accident that we walked through 7 people in this order. Moses stood in front of the burning bush and told God, please send someone else. He had a record. He was a fugitive on the run, wanted for murder. He stuttered when he was nervous. God didn't hand him a resume requirement. God said, I will be your mouth. Exodus 4:10-12. His weakness wasn't a disqualifier. It was the whole point. So nobody could later say, oh, Moses did it in his own way or charisma. Then Rahab. She ran a house of ill repute in the city of Jericho. She wasn't misunderstood, actually. Very misunderstood. And yet her name shows up in Hebrew 11 in the same lineup as Abraham and Moses, called a woman of faith. Hebrews 11 verse 31. Her name shows up again in Matthew chapter 1 in the actual bloodline of Jesus. God did not erase her past to use her. He wrote it into the family tree. the most important one, Saul. He hunted down Christians and held the court while they were stoned to death. That man became Paul. He's the one who wrote most of the New Testament book that we are familiar with. Not despite the blood on his hands, God used a man who understood exactly how far mercy and grace has to reach because he needed all of the grace himself. David, the boy nobody in his house remembered or thought to call from the field when the prophets came looking for a king. 1 Samuel 16 verse 11. He became a man after God's own heart, and later an adulterer and a man who arranged a murder to cover up the adultery. Both of those are true about the same person. God didn't pick between the shepherd boy David and the failed King David. He stayed faithful to all of them. Peter. Peter denied Jesus 3 times in one night. He denied Jesus out loud to strangers, while Jesus could likely hear him. 3 chapters later in John's Gospel, the resurrected Jesus doesn't lecture him. He asked him 3 times, "Do you love me?" One denial undone by one question, repeated exactly 3 times. Then Peter preaches the sermon that started the entire church. Jonah ran from the assignment, got swallowed, got vomited, and still got sent again. The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Jonah 3 verse 1. Elijah called down fire from heaven, and then 1 chapter later asked God to let him die. God's response wasn't a lecture, it was a meal, a nap, and a new assignment. Have you seen the thread yet? Every single one of these people had a moment where their story should have ended in disqualification. And every single time, that moment became the hinge, not the ending. I want to slow it all the way down here because this is the part I actually built this whole episode for. I'm not going to pretend I don't know what some of us are carrying right now while we're watching this. Maybe it is the thing you keep confessing and keep going back to anyway. Maybe it's your search history. Maybe the tabs you close fast enough when someone walks into the room. Maybe it's that relationship you know is not good for you, but you keep circling back to it at 11 p.m. at night. Maybe it's that addiction that nobody in your family knows about. Maybe it's the way you talk to yourself when no one else can hear it. Maybe it's not even a sin in a dramatic sense. Maybe it's just you being tired, burned out like Elijah, convinced like him that you're the only one who feels this hollow while everyone else looks fine. Here is what I need you to actually hear, not just listen to. None of that is new information to God. He was not surprised by your Google history. He was not blindsided by the things you did last night or the thing you're planning to do again this weekend, even though you already regret it in advance. God knew about the affair. He knows about the addiction, the resentment, the shame spiral. He knows about the unforgiveness. He knows about the version of you that only comes out in private before he ever called you. Romans 5:8 doesn't say Christ died for us after we cleaned up. It says while we were still sinners, not after, while we're still sinners. This is the part where a lot of us quietly disqualifies ourselves before God actually gets a chance to. We assume the weakness that keeps pulling us back is the final word. We assume shame is supposed to be the thing that keeps us at a distance from God. That maybe distance is even the respectful thing to do until we've earned the right to come close to God again. But that is not how any of the 7 stories worked. Not one of them cleaned up first, then got called by God. The call came right there in the mess. The mess didn't disqualify the call. The call was never waiting for the mess to be gone. Say that back to yourself for a second in your own words. Whatever it is that you're actually carrying, don't perform it. Just be honest with God about it right now. In the quiet of your home, in the silence of your home, while I keep talking. Let's put the receipts on the table because I don't want this to just feel good. I want you to know that it's actually true. Judges 6, God calls Gideon a mighty man of valor. while Gideon is literally hiding in a wine press, threshing wheat in secret so the enemy won't find him. Gideon's response, he said, "My clan is the weakest, and I'm the least in my father's house." Judges chapter 6:15, I think. God doesn't argue with the fact, he just says, "I will be with you." And that becomes enough. Isaiah 6. Isaiah sees the throne room of God and immediately says, "I am a man of unclean lips." That is not a metaphor. That is a man that was aware of his own mouth, his own record. God didn't ask him to clean himself up first. A seraphim touches his lips with coal. And then God asked, "Who will go for us?" Isaiah, still very much aware of what he just confessed, says, "Here I am, send me." Jeremiah 1. God tells Jeremiah, "Before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. I appointed you a prophet." Jeremiah's response is basically, "I'm too young. I don't know how to speak." God's answer isn't "prove me wrong." It's "do not say I am only a youth, for I am with you." 1 Corinthians 1 verse 27 to 29, Paul writes it plainly. God chose the foolish things to shame the wise, the weak things to shame the strong, the things that are nothing to bring to nothing the things that are, so that no one may boast in his presence. Your weakness was never a disqualifier. In God's economy, it's often the exact material God prefers to work with. 2 Corinthians 3, 5 to 6. Paul says, "Our sufficiency is not from ourselves. It comes from God, who has made us sufficient." Read that again. Not God found us sufficient. God made us sufficient. The qualifying happens after the calling, not before it. Ephesians 2 verse 10. We are his workmanship, not his finished product. His workmanship, which means the work is still happening. You are not a completed exhibit. You are a project still on the table. Romans 8 verse 1. There is now therefore no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, not reduced condemnation, not eventually if you behave. No condemnation now. He doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Every name in this series is a footnote to that one sentence, and so are you. I want to be really careful with you in this last part because I know exactly how tender this moment is. Have also been on the other end of the table where I thought God couldn't do anything with me, that it was over, I was done with, where I disqualified myself, where I would do something wrong today and I'll run away from God for days, where I thought I wasn't enough, where I thought the things I did, my shortcomings, my weaknesses defined me before God. I have been there. But you know what? God showed me difference. So I'm not sharing this story because I'm better. I'm sharing this because I'm sitting right here with you and I'm still walking this path. And what I know is that grace is available. I know mercy. I know that you can trust this grace. And one thing about God is that this grace and this mercy is accessible and readily available. You don't need a visa, you need any godfather, you don't even need any application to even access this grace. That's the beautiful thing about God. You don't need any qualification. You just need to look back at God. You just need to focus on God. God knew you before you were formed. If you've made it this far in this episode, something in you needed this. Maybe you came in tonight fully expecting another lecture, and instead you got a mirror. And mirrors are hard, I know, because mirror exposes every blemish. It shows you the real you. So here's the truth, and I need you to actually receive it, not just hear it. Your past is not a rough draft God is embarrassed by. Your weakness, the one that keeps pulling you back, the one you are sure is the deal breaker, it's not the end of your story. It is the material. Moses stuttered. That slaughter, that Rahab's reputation, that Saul's violence, that David failure, that Peter denial, that Jonah's running, that Elijah burnout, none of it disqualified them. All of it became a path of what qualified them to speak to people who needed to hear that grace reaches that far. So does your messy story. Right now, wherever you are, put your hand over your chest if you can. I'm not asking you to fix anything tonight. I'm not asking for a performance of holiness or anything dramatic. I'm just asking you to be honest, the way everybody in this series eventually had to be, under their own broom tree, their own belly of a fish, their own caught fire. Say this with me in your own words if you need to. God, you already know everything. The thing I keep hiding, the thing I keep repeating, the tired I keep pretending isn't tired. I'm not going to keep disqualifying myself before you ever got the chance to speak to me. I am flawed, and I'm asking you to still call me chosen. That is all. That is the whole finale, not a bigger performance, just honesty that is met by the grace of God. Now, here is what I actually want from you, and please don't skip past this because it's the last one and you're tired. Comment the one word you've been holding back on this whole series, the one you never typed on any of the other episodes. Not for me, for the person scrolling past at 2 a.m. who needs to see that they're not the only one still carrying something. And if this series did something in you, don't just share it. Send it to at least one specific person and tell them which episode reminded you of them. That is not a share button. That is you being someone's Ananias, someone's angel under the broom tree, somebody's here I am. This is Fly with Spyce, and this has been Flawed but Chosen the series. And I need you to hear this clearly. This isn't the end of the story, and this isn't the end of the channel either. This finale is a hand extended, not a door closing. There is more coming, more names, more mirrors, more stories, more rooms just like this one, and maybe more personal experiences from me. Because God isn't done working, and honestly, neither are we. I want you to know that you're seen, you're heard. You are not too far gone, you are not too late, not too broken, or too tired. You are only flawed, but you are chosen by God. Keep the lights up. Let's go write the next page together. God bless you. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.